Hey, what are you doing on that side? How's it going, everybody? How are y'all? Welcome. I see some of y'all talking about we're probably packing, and yes, you would be correct. We are aimlessly trying to make sure we got everything ready to go. So there we are.
Aimlessly is good, yeah.
Yeah, because every time I think I've got everything, it's like, did I put this? And I'm back in there digging around. So let's see who all's here. We'll give everybody a chance to get tuned in and show up. Hopefully, we're going to have a few people show up. It is the first live stream of 2025. And my cool little background that I did, yeah, you can't see that because we're right in front of it, but it looks cool. So there's that. But yeah, let me roll down through here and see. Well, we got 115. Guys, I love going in and giving shout outs, but it's getting harder and harder. So I'm going to scroll through here, see if there's any comments or questions. What's up, Greg? STL Woodworking. How are you, sir? Brian's in the house. Tim, how are you, sir? Yes, very excited for tomorrow's trip. Not excited about having to get up so early and trying to get up there, but we'll see.
I actually get to sleep in.
Well, it's because your flight doesn't leave till like noon. My boarding is at 7:55, and that's like that means I've got to be all the way through the process and ready to get on the plane at 7:55.
Yeah, I don't have to leave the house till about 9. So
you're so lucky. And then I'm going all the way to Denver so that I can head down to Las Vegas. It makes no sense. We'll see. So
we'll get there.
Yeah. But I did pack. I am packing a hoodie. I've got a newer hoodie than this one that I'm going to be wearing just in case I get off the plane in Denver and there's like 8 feet of snow or something.
Yeah, they're probably warmer than us, I would imagine. But I don't think it's going to get as cold as it was predicted earlier. It's still chilly up here, but I'm going to be layering up, so I'm not like lugging a big winter coat around. But I'm going to be coming back to some cold weather as well, so I don't want to freeze.
Yeah,
that's the hassle of going warm places from Minnesota in the winter. It's like freeze your butt off to get to the airport, and then what do you do with your parka? You know?
Yeah. Well, I will say this too. I put some extra links in the description on my YouTube video today for the guys over at Ballard and some of the guys from the Making It Up As We Go. I think that is correct, isn't it?
Yeah, well, that's the name of the
the show that they do.
Yeah.
But anyway, there's some links down below. Steve and I were over there last night helping with a contest for Christmas on some Christmas projects. So I did put a link to the video where Steve and I were over there, as well as links to all the guys that we hung out with YouTube channels. If you want to go check that out. Ryan and his group of guys. I can't remember everybody's name. I know their channels. D.E. Hammer and Klawndyke. I think it's Paul and Shawn.
Yeah, and well, Paul's Messy Workshop as well. There's 2 Pauls.
Yeah,
it's like Paul Jr. and Paul Sr. or Paul Sr. and Paul Sr. I
Anyway, it's confusing, but I didn't put Paul's Messy Work. I didn't put his in there. I forgot about his. But anyway, there's a whole bunch of links. Go check those out when you get a chance. Those guys, we had fun hanging out with them and talking shop and all that before and after the live. Ryan and them, like I said, good folks. So go check that out. There are links in the description of my.
Yeah, I'll have to add them to mine. You're showing me up here, but I know I've talked about Ryan in the past and their show on Saturday, the Making It Up As We Go. I commented this yesterday too, but it's really cool because they pull 8 to 10 different videos. They don't show the whole things, but they show snippets of them and just kind of talk about it. And I've learned of some really cool channels. I've seen some really cool projects there. And so I really like what they do there. So, check it out. It's a good way. A lot of people ask us, how do you get inspired? It's a good way. It's watching what other people do. And
yeah.
And it was fun. Ryan, thanks for inviting us. And hopefully we'll get to do more in the future.
yeah, we like I said, we got to get back from Vegas, and then we're gonna come up with something. We'll see how it goes. Yeah, Greg's asking, am I flying out of Birmingham? Yes, that would be correct. And it takes me about an hour drive to get from here to Birmingham. So, Brandy, rather than me leaving my truck in Birmingham in a parking deck or parking lot or whatever, Brandy's going to drop me off and then pick me back up so that, I don't have to worry about coming back and my vehicle being gone. And also, if she were to need it while I'm gone, if the weather does, if they do get the ice and snow and stuff like that, it's the only all-wheel drive vehicle in the parking lot. So I want to make sure it's here in case she does need it to, get around. I don't think it's going to get that bad, but we'll see. Yes, somebody says you're going to get stuck in a puddle jumper. I'm surprised they're not making him like riding a cargo plane. He's so big, he doesn't fit in his seats.
Well, knocking on wood, I'm hoping to get a pretty good seat. We'll see if I can get the one I'm looking at. But yeah, it's I've been on. Man, I can't remember. I think it was when I was flying up to northern New York to visit a friend, and got on some small plane from like I don't know Pennsylvania up to Syracuse or something like that. And I'm glad it was a short flight.
Yeah. Yeah. Minnesota Custom Made is saying that they're getting down to sub-zeros this week.
Well, they're heading out of them. We've been there.
Oh, out of them. Okay.
And yeah, that was the thing. I was thinking I was going to be gone and missing kind of this dip. Well, it either has already come or it isn't going to be as bad. As a matter of fact, Saturday when I'm in sunny Arizona, last I checked, it was going to be 50 to 60. Well, it's going to be up to 32 here. So, I'll still take it, but it's a dry cold down there, not up here.
So. I hear you. Tim, I don't know about Pet. He's still staying here. I have taken my first post down on Facebook and put it up again and like try to get folks to recognize him and come get him. I'm starting to get the feeling that it wasn't a lost dog as much as it was a disposed of dog, because nobody's coming forth saying, hey, this is our dog and we want to come get him. And at this point, it has been shared by like everybody in this community. So I'm thinking that he's not lost. He was dumped. So it may be one of those situations where he gets to stay here. But when I get back from Vegas, if he hasn't found his home or hasn't went anywhere, we'll deal with that when we get done. But yeah. But so far, other than he has found a whole bunch of roadkill and animals, skeletons and stuff from the woods and brought them to the yard. Other than that, he hadn't messed with anything, but he has been steadily finding skulls and bones and stuff from animals and bringing them up here in the yard. So
fun.
He's a bit of a hoarder when it comes to that, but my shepherd likes it because she don't ever get to find cool stuff like that. And he's bringing it up here and leaving it in the yard for her to play with. So, yep. Somebody was asking about what we're going to do while we were there. So,
well, this one's going to come up one way or another. Jack's asking, what's our take on the announcement about the Rolly MK3 being a combo galvo gantry laser? And there's been one video that Leo has shared, and it's engraving a piece. And so you do see that it is a gantry style machine, but it looks like the module isn't on the gantry and they're using mirrors. Supposedly still a diode laser, but they're shooting the beam to the mirrors to that galvo. And so that increases your engrave speed. Now, this is just a prototype, nothing's final. And they do have like a little air assist cone that looks like it flips or slides or moves allegedly for cutting, which would be my concern. I mean, galvers are nice for engraving speed, but they're not great for cutting, especially when you lose the air assist and you get that angle. But my take on it is I love seeing something new. I love seeing them kind of push the envelope to try to see, okay, can we improve the speed but keep the features of cutting? So I think knowing the way they've developed things and they don't rush things out, I'm excited to see this one. I hope it's working well, and I hope it pushes other people to do some cool things. Now, I did ask Leo in an email, hey, it looks like maybe you're doing Core XY, because if you look at the way the belts are set up on that, which would also improve the speed moving around. So they're dabbling with a lot of newer technologies that it'll be interesting to see what it develops into.
Yeah. Leo actually sent me an email the other day and sent that link. I think you got the same email, and it's a very cool concept. And I'm like Steve, whether I like the way it's laid out or whatever, it is a prototype, and I'm just glad to see people coming up with new ideas. And I like seeing the just trying new things. I like that. I think that type of movement throughout the industry is good, because it's only going to benefit us in the long run, because we're going to get cooler, more, faster machines or whatever. Now, will there be drawbacks to that kind of a design that some people may or may not like? Possibly, but I'm really anxious to see how they come together with this once they get it a little more refined. Because the video, you can tell it's a prototype, because it's got external wiring everywhere. I mean, it's still in the works, but I like the direction they're going. I'm like Steve, though. I want to see that thing cut. I want to see how you go about cutting it, focusing it for cutting and everything. So we'll see how that goes. But somebody was asking, I lost a comment about the RA2.
Is it this one?
Yes. Tim's asking, have you guys used the RA2 Pro on the S1 with Lightburn, or only using XCS with the S1? Lightburn, as much as I like Lightburn, Lightburn does not. With the X-Tool machines, Lightburn limits a lot of them. Probably the one machine that I could say probably isn't as limited would be the F1, the standard F1, because it's pretty basic. It doesn't have a whole lot of the bells and whistles. So Lightburn with it's not terrible. But when you get into the Ultra with the camera that it has and some of the features that it has, the S1 with the probe for mapping out your work area, the P2 with the 2 cameras, when you start getting into those really advanced machines like those, you lose use of some features. And the thing that I like best about X-Tool is they do have some pretty cool features and innovative type things built into them. But the only 2 machines that I would run Lightburn with in the X-Tool genre right now is going to be the original X-Tool D1. Of course, it works fine with Lightburn, and the F1. Other than that, I would run XCS. I have not used the RA2 with Lightburn on the S1 since I've had it. Now, I've used it with the D1 when it first came out, but not with the S1, because I prefer XCS for my S1 personally. What about you, Steve? I think you probably share my idea.
Yeah, and I haven't, like you say, even the original F1. Now that I'm using XCS with most of the others, I tend to use it there as well. And I still have my D1 Pro, still have the enclosure, but unfortunately it hasn't seen a lot of use recently. But I almost exclusively use Lightburn with that. The S1, yeah, like you say, it's just you lose a lot of you can get it to work with a lot of things, but you lose it. It feels like I'm having to try too hard, and XCS and just works. So what I end up doing is developing my artwork or cut files or whatnot in my program of choice, and then importing it into XCS. I do some design work for simple stuff, but if it gets into the complex where I want all my tools that I'm comfortable with, I'll do it there and then export it as an SVG and import it into XCS.
Yeah. Now, I will say one thing about XCS, I will say, is with photos. I have found that XCS does a really good job with photos without a whole lot of understanding the whole contrasts and all that. And you can literally throw it in there, and the way they've got it built, it just does all the work for you, and does a really good job with photos. So, but yeah, it's like I said, X-Tool's doing a really good job of making their machines and their software kind of play well together and bringing all these extra features that Lightburn just can't handle. Lightburn is a really good design tool, like Steve said. I still do my designing mostly in Lightburn, unless it's something simple, like just I needed just a square cut or something like that. But yeah. Multicraft Neo says, I thought Samcraft might visit today. Now we haven't had a chance to get up with anybody. We're gonna do some stuff when we get back, but like right now, we've got all of our gray matter is concentrating on trying to get to CES without leaving anything at home or having any problems and making it back. So at least mine is.
Yeah. I'm going to be on the road almost 2 weeks here because I got CES. I'm going down to see Cody and my dad for a few days. I get back for like 1 day and a few hours, and then I got to be on the road for a few more days for work to a conference up in St. Cloud. So I'm going to feel real out of the loop by the time I get back. Hopefully I would say get through January. Well, hopefully, but yeah, we want to reach out to a few people and get connected with them a little bit. Some of the things that they've been doing, some of the things that have been changing.
Yeah, we were talking to Ryan and them last night about it. You know, we've got some ideas. We've got some cool, fun things that we're wanting to try to get started and you never know who all might get drug into it before it's over with. Speaking of which, we may even get Eric involved in it. So Eric over at Valley Forged says that watching us making money or watching us and making money, I guess. Yeah. So yeah, that's the community. There's so many people in this community with lasers and 3D printing and CNC and all that. And we're going to try to come up with some cool stuff that we can bring you guys along with. That's all I got to say right now. We'll figure out what it looks like once we can work out some of the details. Brandy said, just so you know, Steve, if she gets any ice or snow, she won't be going anywhere. So she's stocked up with all the necessary stuff, and she'll be sitting there until I get back, I guess. Somebody's got to come get me from the airport, or either, it's going to be a long walk.
Well, yeah. Luckily up here, it's been too cold to snow. So things are pretty clear right now.
That's sad. It's too cold to snow. Dave, there's a few places around. If you'll get going to some of the X-Tool user groups, they might can tell you. There's a lot of folks that sell. I saw this past week. I saw several D1 pros that people were selling. I think it was in the D1 owners group or whatever. So there's some of the parts for them are pretty available, and some of them are, you can actually buy new parts because it's the same stuff that goes on other machines. Y-axis something I don't know, limb board, limit switch maybe, I don't know, but yeah, check around in the X-Tool D1 club pages, because like I said, there's a lot of people unloading machines, and there's some guys out there that sell and make parts and stuff like that for them.
Yeah, and I know there's been a lot of chatter in the groups about X-Tool discontinuing the D1, and I think you got to remember too is there's discontinuing sales, but they still plan to support it for a certain amount of time. So going back to them for parts is still an option. But there are places, Geeks at Large is one of them that tends to have random bits for a lot of different lasers. So, I mean, he even has a whole nother control board for some of them. So if you want to keep it running, there'll be some options for that.
Bryce want me to name the dog Little Steve. I don't want to name it Steve. I'm sorry, guys. I would love to. It'd be funny, but I'm going to have to find something different if he stays. Yeah, Brandy said he did drag up a whole raccoon, but he didn't kill it. It was already, he found it on the side of the road. Yeah, Mark Mark's asking, is the shepherd getting along with him okay? The first few days, she was very pessimistic about the situation, but she's getting a little bit better. She's realized that he's not trying to mess with her. He doesn't get to come inside like she does and all this. And so she's still the princess, so she's happy. They were outside playing together today. So as far as we can tell, they're getting along.
Here's one for you. You've played with more tumblers and sizes and tested them on more lasers. If you had to pick one to do, maybe not all, but the most sizes, what do you think you'd go with?
See, that's a question. I like my S1 the way I've got it set up. Now, keep in mind too, a lot of the reason I like certain machines is not necessarily that they're better per se. It's that the setup and the way I've got it configured just flows really good. You see what I'm saying? So, like, I'm playing around with the OhmTech. Not a fan of their rotary and the way the pass-through kind of works, but it does a great job. So far, the Polar Plus is doing a good job on the tumblers. But if I had an order of 100 tumblers come in today, I'd do them on the S1 because I feel comfortable with the settings, the placement, the alignment, everything on the machine I like. The only drawback, and this is something that I've told X-Tool, they know, it's no big mystery. The RA2 needs to be upsized slightly, just a little, not a lot, but just a little. Even the claws on it. Let me grab mine and I'll show you. I've got this one set up. I was doing those big tumblers the other day, the ones with the handles that look like Stanleys. And like this thing, if you would add like another inch of diameter capability to it, I think it would be awesome. The only other thing that I don't like about the RA2 Pro is because it's too low. First of all, if you did have something that had a slight handle right here, it can't rotate because it's going to hit this base. I wish they would make it to where it was reversible, or you could put it on top of something. And I think Steve must have some kind of new, latest, greatest RA2 Pro that I ain't got yet. But this is the one that I've got. Actually got two of these, and I got one set up for big ones and one set up for little ones, and it works pretty good. Now, I will say this. There are some companies who, when they ask me, what do you think about this? Or what do you think about that? And I'm like, well, I wish I could take this on this RA2 Pro and turn it around so that I could at least sit this thing up on something and do bigger stuff. When I say stuff like that, it really tickles me when it shows up and it's actually that way so that you can reverse it off the back. Like, so this one, you can reverse it and run it this way, or you can flip it around and use this gear here to run it on the back.
But you should be able to do that with the RA2 as well. You just put it on the other side of the plate.
Yeah.
That was in the instructions, and they had me
test. Yeah, you can turn the plate around, but so
then you block that up, and then you've got more space to work with it.
Yeah, but you still have a little bit of a height advantage. So, but yeah, this one's peculiar. I'm curious about this one. I haven't got to use it yet, and I ain't gonna lie. If I knew for sure that the steps per rotation would work, I would take the cable off the RA2 Pro and stick it in the S1 and see. But that's the only thing. I'm hoping they're going to revisit the RA2. But yeah, on this one, I did forget you can turn the plate around. I haven't done that, but I would like for them to extend this part as well. But that one works great. As far as really, really big stuff, I still think the Atom Stack is the best for really tall stuff. But it don't work with my S1. So that's a big hang up. What is that noise? What in the world? Oh, that's that. Yeah. I've been wanting to see that. You hadn't showed it to me. Why ain't you done a video on that thing yet?
Time, because I know the minute I do that, people are going to want kits, and so I need to.
But yeah,
I need to get that set up to where I can have at least a base set of instructions with it. But yeah, no, that's atom stack rotary, and it's kind of designed so that you can use most any diode laser. You just size the rails to your gantry and such, and so it and then it rotates around and gives you a lot of height adjustment. So that's something my friend Mike did a lot of the design work on, and I've been playing with.
Got an airline over here, Lincoln. That's
so,
what that was.
But yeah, I as far as a commercially available one, if I was doing a lot of tumblers and needing to do a lot of size, and I was making some decent money at it, I'd probably go with a CO2, one of these deeper ones with the lifting bed in it. It's you have a lot more flexibility in the size that you can work with there. And also with the CO2, the settings tend to be more consistent. You don't have to, there's not as much guessing every time. You kind of dial it in for a brand tumbler due to the thickness of their coating.
And the colors don't matter.
Right.
CO2.
And so if I was doing a lot of them, that might be the way I go. Or, if I don't know. See, I haven't played around with a lot of bigger chucks on fibers, but
I've got a chuck for my fiber. I've been using it. I've been playing with it on the UV. But the only problem that I have doing them on those machines is how particular the focal range is on a fiber. Yeah. And so that is why me personally, I'm really hoping I can get something worked out with the CO2 and start using it, because I think that's a better option. But yeah, there's the stripped down version without the base plate. So yeah, I forgot about being able to flip it. I've never had to so far, but just because you can't do but so big with the teeth anyway. So it's big enough to accommodate until you get to where the teeth are too big. But yeah. But that would be my biggest thing would be I want to do them with the CO2, because I did see with the OhmTech, I'm getting some really good results doing tumblers. I don't get the lines, like you said. There's no variation between a white tumbler and a black tumbler. It's just a tumbler. It's that tumbler engraves the same. So the settings are a lot simpler. But I got to find the right chuck. Because right now, the rotary that OhmTech sent me is not the right chuck. I'm looking at I like the design of the Roto Boss that I use at my buddy Tim's place. My buddy Tim's got a Thunder, the Bolt, and it came with a Roto Boss rotary. And I run it when I up there helping him and training his folks. And I like the way it performs. His machine, he doesn't have his jigged and set up the way I would want to set it up. But that's just because his employees don't think the same way that I do. But that's something that if I had a Roto Boss or something similar for the OhmTech, I think that would become my new favorite setup for tumblers. Because like you said, with the CO2 and the more robust rotary.
Yeah, the Roto Boss is the way to go. If you're doing a lot of them, that makes the swap outs really quick. You're not trying to make sure. It kind of locks it in. Once you get everything set up for that size tumbler, you just swap them out, and you're going from tumbler to tumbler really quick.
Yeah.
Terry's saying, new to lasers, hubby wants to engrave patches for hats and pictures for ornaments. Are we talking two different lasers? Just starting to look into this option. Not necessarily. Depends on the type of material for patches. A lot of people are using the synthetic leather that's like two-toned, and it doesn't take a whole lot of a laser to remove that coating. Now, if you're going to cut out your own custom sizes, probably going to want at least like a 10-watt diode. But those will also engrave on a variety of materials for ornaments, but you are going to have some limitations if you get into certain acrylics. You're limited on your metal to marking spray and stainless steel. So it kind of depends on what you're looking at with ornaments, but you could probably get by with a diode, or you could step into a CO2 and do both of those fairly easily.
Yeah, a CO2 is pretty versatile, especially if you're wanting to do clear acrylics and stuff like that. Leather, it depends on whether you're doing, if you get the synthetic leather or the laserable leather, that stuff's a lot cleaner, a lot easier to deal with than the real deal. But yeah.
Bobby is asking, are CO2 lasers good for etching glass cutting boards? Yes, they're actually the easiest outside of a UV. Well, no, a CO2 is probably easier than a UV for a glass.
Well, the UVs, you're going to be limited like 150 by 150. So
yeah. Well,
it depends on how big your board glass is.
And you got to play with your settings a little bit more. I think what I've seen of the UVs is they take a few passes, they do a nice job, but they're not probably as fast as a CO2 at just
it's not going to be anywhere near as fast. If you were trying to do like photo quality type engraving, probably, maybe. I've been trying to do an engrave of a dog for somebody, and I've tried it on every piece of glass I've got. The CO2 so far, I like the results I've got from CO2 better, even though the UV is higher resolution. I can't get it to grayscale or to shade on the UV because the UV's it's 5 watts output. You can't change the power. All you can do is change the speed. And so I'm having a really hard time getting it to do the grayscale look that I want. Not that it can't do it. I'm having a hard time with it. I'm having better luck getting closer to what I want with the CO2. Matter of fact, let me go back. And the reason is, and this is why I said, if you're wanting to do glass, as much as I love the UV, the whole Galvo thing can be a pain, because look at this cup. See how it's got that little bit of angle to it? That doesn't really matter to a CO2, but that's a big deal to a Galvo. Like that little bit of arch right there causes problems. And you can see, like, I could almost make it a light. It's hard to get the light right over here. And I haven't got it the way it needs to be, so I'm just having to show you the way it is. But see, you can almost make out the dog's face right there. That's with the CO2. All right. Right there. Yeah, that was my high and low powers was way off on that one. That one, I think, is so far, that one is the closest I've came. Hang on, let me get the power right. That was the closest I've came to getting the power just right, and it wasn't nowhere near right. So, yeah, I've been playing around with it. And that's that little small one. That was with the UV. But it's either engraved or it ain't. There ain't no shading. So that's each machine has its advantages and its disadvantages. Oh, that works pretty decent.
There you go. Yeah. Side light it.
Yeah. but that's probably the best look I've got so far. And that was done with a CO2. Because you can actually you can kind of grayscale with a CO2 because you can modulate the power up and down. With the UV, it's either on or off. That's all you got. You can't modulate the power, only the speed, frequency, and Q pulse. That image has been driving me nuts trying to get it right. So,
yeah. Well, new type of laser. There's always a learning curve to it, and that's kind of what I've heard too. I mean, Sam kind of alluded to that too. That glass was one of the things that was. He said it's not necessarily the laser's fault. He's just still learning the ins and outs of that.
Now on a piece of plate glass, like some of those 4x4 coasters where they're flat, perfect. I mean, I could knock it out. Is it faster than a CO2? Probably not. But the results, if you're doing like something that's a Jarvis or a Stuckey type design, the resolution is awesome. It's just, like I said, it's that little bit of rounding to it causes it to be out of focus here and there. And it doesn't, that's the problem I'm having right now. And I tried using the Rotary, thinking that maybe if I could just engage that highest part and have it turn. But even though I get it flat, that little bit of that little bit of slope is still causing a problem. So I have put it down for right now, because you know how projects are. Sometimes it's better to put them down for a week or two and then come back to them, because it's just like I can't get it like I want it.
Well, Dennis is asking, is there a diode machine that has a motorized lifting method besides the We Create?
Enclosures all.
Well, I think they're asking for a commercially available one. I don't think so. There's some that are, I don't even know that there's any mechanical ones out there. I mean, like on the CO2s, they have the lifting bed. It's either motorized or, well, the bigger one's kind of like the OhmTech maker that I just took a look at it. But I'm not thinking of any if they are. So it is nice, because when that works right, it really helps keep things dialed in. It helps your camera be more accurate, but
yeah,
that's one of those machines where, when we were talking earlier, it's cool to see someone do something new, but it doesn't always, it's a nice machine, but it still has some bugs that I've seen with the one I have anyway. So
yeah, I'll have to find them. The RA2 comes with a couple of different sets of these little grippy parts, and then you get the pins also. But typically these, I think I put these on here the other day doing like baseballs, or I don't remember what I was messing with. Well, no, it was the Christmas balls I was doing.
They came with two different, there's usually like the L-shaped ones and then the 3-step ones.
Yeah, these are the L shapes, and then they have the 3 steps.
But they also intended for people to 3D print their own. So, but unless you're doing like TPU, they're not going to be as grippy. So, but that, it also would be nice to be beefier, just so that it supports the bigger and the heavier things a little bit easier. So, not things that can't be overcome with a little counterweight and other things. That's where I have like these 1, 2, 3 blocks. I don't know if I have one right here, but they're handy for a lot of different things, and in some cases, just a nice solid chunk of weight.
Yeah, I've got I don't know where exactly I got these. I think they came out of a lamp or something, but these are solid. Like, this is just one big chunk of solid iron, and it is heavy. I got 2 of these that I use to weight stuff with, and they're heavy. And they've got a cool little hole in them too, if you need to, like set something through them.
They usually have some of those 1, 2, 3 blocks around, but they're probably by my CNC machine. But they're nice because you got a 1-inch side, a 2-inch side, and a 3-inch side, so it can also be handy for other things. But
yeah. No. even the little cheap ones that, like the no-name brand ones that I used to get, they'll rotate pretty heavy stuff. Unless you've had one.
I don't know that it's an issue of not being able to turn it. Usually if it's that heavy, it's a matter of actually holding it in the chuck without sliving. And so that's more of the issue I've had rather than turning it. Because once it's set up right, and if you use that end stock, that kind of helps take some of that weight off. Turning it isn't usually too big of an issue. Now, I haven't tried to chuck up a bowling ball into it, that would probably
No.
give it some issues. But no, for most of the stuff that I throw in my laser, I haven't run into too many issues with that.
Jim, as far as getting black on glass, if you will try to get black, you're going to have to use marking spray. But you can shade it and give the appearance of darker and lighter, like I did with that one there. But it's all about there's nothing on there. It's not black. It's just the shading is different. But that wasn't. I didn't put anything on that one. I just put it over there in the Ohm Tech and let her go, and tried several different like max and minimum power settings to try to get some shading, because that's the problem. Is if it was just a vector image or something that like a graphic, any setting just about it would work. But when you're trying to get shading, that's when you really have to balance the speed and power on both ends.
Jeremy's asking, what's a good source for F theta lenses? I'll be honest, I haven't done a lot of shopping for them, but a place that I have purchased other things from and would kind of trust is Cloudray. I believe they have some. Otherwise, it's going to depend on your manufacturer. Maybe check with them if they have. I mean, obviously they probably have their own and they want to recommend it, but yeah, I'll be honest, I haven't done a lot of shopping for those for the couple of fibers that I have that would have interchangeable lenses.
Me either. Haraway Woodworks is saying, been watching for a while, been down with an ankle break, have a D120 watt. How long does it take to learn and start using? That depends on how dedicated you are. But there's enough resources out there, especially with the D1 and just light burns, basic operations, that, you know, if you got time to sit around and consume a little bit of YouTube and piddle with it while you do, you should be able to get to making some stuff. Like within a day or two, you should be at least making basic projects. It may be, you know, just basically squares and circles, but you should be able to start cutting out some stuff within a day or two. The machines aren't overly complicated. The biggest challenges you're going to have, especially with the D1, is just going to be power and speed. You know, getting those right for the materials. That's the biggest part. But if you use XCS, a lot of the guesswork is took out of it because they have the preset settings. So if you're brand new, I'm going to be honest with you, if you're brand new, never ran a laser before, XCS might be the easier approach angle to get in it. And then once you get comfortable, then try to learn light burn. That way you get a little more, because XCS is a little more of the lower fruit. Like it's easier to be able to use. You can't do quite as complex of stuff, but you can figure it out like in a couple of hours and be working.
Yeah, I mean, they really, you know, X Tools really made an effort to, you know, make lasers that are fairly easy to use and software that'll get you kind of those quick wins. Now you pay for it because they're not the cheapest laser out there, but it is a way to kind of get started and have successes. Yeah, you do run into things where they've been starting to add in some features that people have requested, you know, like a kerf offset. They didn't have that for as long. Now they do.
Yeah.
But I did a video just the other day about doing serialized numbers, and Lightburn has variable text tools in there where you can either set up a spreadsheet to pull in, you know, like various names, or you can have it do sequential numbering, things like that. As far as I know, XCS doesn't have that. So that's kind of one of those examples where you might take a basic project and you could do it in XCS, but you're going to be manually editing those numbers, where in Lightburn you could actually set up a process to pull those in automatically. So XCS is a nice way to kind of get those quick wins, learn how to work with your laser. And then as you find issues where you're like, there's got to be a better way to do this, that's when you might expand out there. Sounds like AGT Restorer got a Bamboo A1 with AMS. Awesome machine. Can't wait to learn more. Yeah. I've been loving mine. I've been printing a lot with it lately. I forgot to bring some things out because I've actually been printing stuff for the trip. I needed to make a new adapter for my camera because the old one was worn out. I made a did a bunch of business cards to hand out, and I'm like, well, they're those metal business cards, so I didn't want them to get all bent up. So I actually went on Bamboo's online site, and I actually ended up printing 3 before I found one I liked, but then threw that in the laser and was able to engrave it on the fiber as well. So it adds an aspect to the shop. And if you didn't catch the show yesterday, there were a lot of people who, they did some pretty cool Christmas things for the Gatton Christmas Challenge that we had to rate, and some of them were very complex, multicolor, multi-level things. So, I mean, and those were not necessarily files they made, but they had downloaded. But it's very cool that you can do that as well. So, yeah, excited. Hope you have fun with that. I think that's again, speaking of quick wins, Bamboo has made their stuff very simple and smart to you kind of get off the ground running without having a failed print.
Yeah. Yeah, you got me, because I was contemplating doing the same thing, and then I saw you had 3D printed your card holder, and I'm like, dang it! So I wound up going back. I wound up going with my old trusty plywood cut on the laser, and this is just 3 layers of plywood. I used 3 millimeters for this one. I had some 3 mil stuff laying around, and then I cut it out with a CO2 and engraved it with the Omni. But I made 2 of these. I've got this one, and then I've got a bigger one it's like 4 layers of plywood. So I've got 2 layers in the middle for storage, and it's in my bag. This one will stay in my pocket. So,
well, I don't have, like I said, I don't have it out here with me, but it's not going to work today, is it? There we go. That's what I did, was made that 3D printed little holder. The metal business cards fit in there, right? I can't quite fit 30 of them in there. If I had time to remake that, I'd make the inside square. You made the inside and the outside rounded, and I was like, the inside was square and fit better. But yeah. Hey, let's throw this in the fiber laser, and that's black PLA engraved on a fiber laser. It turned that nice white. So
yeah. Well, that's one thing about the fibers, and especially even the UVs. I know y'all saw today where these companies make these rotaries, and then you got to try to remember the rotations per minute or per millimeter and millimeters per rotation and all that. And so I've gotten in a habit of, I take one of the fibers and I engrave it on the rotary. That way I've always got that number when I go to use it with a different machine. And so I got that one rotary out, was putting it together and looking at it, and I went ahead and put that on there so I'd have it. But if nothing else, get you a piece of painter's tape and a Sharpie and put the rotations on there and keep it with the machine. Ryan's asking, what software do we use to edit our videos? And editing, like long form videos, of course, I use, I think Steve uses the same thing, Adobe Rush. And then for, of course, shorts, just use YouTube. And then this, we're actually using StreamYard for this. And it's called StreamYard. Okay, I can't remember. We searched everywhere trying to figure out what software we were going to go with for the lives. But that's the same thing you're doing, right, Steve?
For the most part, I do a lot of we've talked about this too, of trying to not overproduce videos, and so using Rush works pretty well. I do have the full version of Premiere if I need to get fancy, but that just tends to slow everything down and whatnot. So for shorts, I sometimes use the editor there, but I actually have there's an app on my phone from GoPro that will kind of use a little AI to pick out the spots, and then you can adjust it quick, and it does some nice transitions and makes that fairly easy when it lets you log in. I had a little issue earlier today where it was not wanting to let me log in, and it was making me quite annoyed while I'm trying to pack and finish up another short. But but a lot of people ask about getting started and what you do. I mean, if you've got a phone, there's probably a video app for it, especially if you've got an iPhone. There's iMovie for that. I know a lot of people that started their channels and grew it well past ours size and into almost $100,000 doing most of their recording and editing on their iPhone, which I think is crazy on that small screen. But
yeah, I did. I have an iPad, and when I first started my channel, that's what I used. I used iMovie on my iPad.
Mm-hmm.
And that was what I edited my videos with. The problem that I had with it was, unless you have like massive storage on your iPad, which back then, to get that kind of storage, you had to really spend some money. I had to have a SD card reader connected by, USB to the iPad. And that got to be a little slow when you start transferring video and stuff like that. So, but eventually I got to where I was wanting to do it on a computer. And but literally, I think it was well into monetization when I finally swapped over, started using Adobe, because I was like, okay, I got to get this on a computer, because now it's, I'm trying to turn them out a little quicker than what I was before. So
sure.
Terry's asking, is there a place in Atlanta or Birmingham that will show you different brands of lasers and really help based on what you're doing? Not that that as far as I'm aware of, there's not really anywhere that does that. I do know that, dang it, what's the company that just started selling X-Tool?
Woodcraft.
Yeah, Woodcraft has started selling X-Tool lasers. So they may, they'll usually have like some stuff in the showroom, and they'll talk to you and kind of give you advice. But yeah, that's the only, as far as like hobby, the diode lasers and stuff, that's the only place I know that sells those. Now you can go to like, Thunder, places that sell Thunder and Epilog and those machines, and they'll show you around, but those are a lot more expensive, like, as much as some people pay for a car type machines. So a little different category.
There are, if you go onto some sites, and I think Monport's one, I don't know, X-Tool does a whole lot of this, but some of them have like demo rooms. So you can reach out to someone that's maybe in your area and try to set up a time to look at it. I don't know how all that works, if they're just hoping that you buy it and use their affiliate or how, but no, I don't know. A lot of these are really direct sales. So unless you have, a makerspace that has a few, or, if you're near this little place in the middle of Alabama called the Clack Shack that might have a few.
I have a few. Somebody was asking earlier, I think.
It's hard to see the competitors side by side, and even Woodcraft, I think a lot of them mostly just have the original F1 as their demo unit. I know the local one here, that's kind of what they do, and I've talked with them about maybe coming in and bringing in like the S1 and the Ultra and the air purifier to show a few more things, but they're like an hour plus away, and so it's less enticing for me to do that in the winter. So we'll see. But yeah, I don't know that there's any good places to see too many of them outside like those demo rooms and such.
Yeah, somebody was asking earlier how many machines had I tested, and it's a lot. Between CNCs, lasers, and 3D printers, last time I looked, I think I was at 56 machines. So, and I don't, like I said, I don't have all of them here. I don't keep them here. Some of the really older ones have been donated to our STEM program in our school system. I took them almost a truckload a year or so ago. And I work with, guys around here that do it as a hobby, that a lot of them are police officers, retired military, stuff like that. But they basically foster care them for a while in case I need to have them back for a video. Like Klein, he's currently got a bunch of my machines. Somebody was asking me earlier what I thought about if I still like the Atom Stack Hurricane, and I liked it. Currently, it is in the custody of Klein. The last time I talked to him, he was giggling like a girl because he was making stuff out of acrylic that he'd never been able to do with the diodes. And he said it's still doing a really good job and he loves it. So it's still running strong. He did some acrylic projects the other day and was just beside himself because he went and saw Tim and got some of Tim's scrap acrylics and stuff and was making some stuff. So he's enjoying it. It's a good machine. I like the Atom Stack. Mine was a prototype, so there's some changes possibly being made to it. once it went into production. But I had really good luck with it. The only reason I swapped it out is one, because Klein did want a CO2, and when the OhmTech come in, I don't like to just throw one on the bench, test it for a day or two, and then toss it to the side. I like to run it at least for a while and several months if I can. And so until something else comes along, I'm going to run the OhmTech for a while. And so far, it's doing a good job. I mean, it's up there as far as its abilities. It's up there with the Atom Stack as far as the abilities, the things that it can do. It does have some refinements, in my opinion, that the Atom Stack didn't. But there again, mine was a prototype. I don't know what the end result ended up being. The Atom Stack's conveyor, or that sling bed that they make, is really, really cool compared to what some other machines have. This one does not really have that. It has a pass-through, but it's just literally you can just slide a sheet of plywood through it. That's it. So all the machines have advantages and pros and cons, advantages and disadvantages, in my opinion. You just got to figure out which one works for your need and go from there.
Norbert, appreciate your patience on that. I've had a few recently that, two shipments went out, and as the post guy was picking them up, he was dropping off another package, and he had his scanner set to, must be the delivered setting, and so they scanned as delivered at my address right away, and now the tracking's not working, and it's been a week, and the people aren't seeing them, and so it's that's one of the headaches of physical products. Luckily, it's once in a blue moon where things kind of go missing or they take a while, but hopefully they get delivered to you tomorrow. And yeah, it's just I also got chalk it up this time of year. Holidays, shipping. You're kind of gambling once you get into December a little bit, but yeah. And I'm actually keeping them out of stock while I'm on this trip. A lot of times, my wife will take care of that for me, because it is nice being able to still ship them out. But I'm like, right now, I have a few that went out and may be missing, and I'm leaving them out of stock so that she doesn't have to worry about it, and I can get caught up when I get back.
Yeah. Haraway, right? I'm right in the center. Born and raised. Been here all of my life. I'm not sure where Anderson is. I'm guessing probably up north, since you're moving from Nashville. But yeah, I am dead center of the state of Alabama.
Tim, the iPad may be muted.
He said he was going to be watching the game. So,
I mean, it's hard not to. This situation doesn't happen too often, so. They're not doing so hot right now.
Jeffrey, most of your laser manufacturers, whether it's in the book or whether it's a Lightburn file, they will give you a material library or settings library a lot of times, and you can either put those in Lightburn if they're not already in the file or not. But yeah, it came with some settings, but I still prefer to check and confirm the settings, because sometimes their idea of a good setting may not be the same as mine. But yeah, most of the machines will come with something, and I'll try to pull it up here and show you. But yeah, it's that's RD Works. Yeah, it comes with the darn the parameters is a RD Works file, so never mind. on the OhmTech, it come with the polar settings. Now it does have that's the last RD Works too. Huh.
But even if you do have them, take them with a grain of salt.
Yeah.
Really, both Clack and I have done some videos on setting up material tests in Lightburn, and I've done some in XCS and such. It's really worth some time to get those set up and really dialed in for your laser and your material. So they'll get you in the ballpark, but even the XTS setting, I was using the F1 to do some engravings on some trays that hopefully I'm finishing the video on the road. We'll put it that way. Their grid was okay, but I still ran a test on a scrap piece and kind of found that I needed some to change it up a little bit.
Yeah, and you can see right here, this is some of the stuff they put in the PDF for acrylic, basswood, canvas, cardboard, leather, MDF, and rubber. So, but like Steve said, this probably worked for them, but you need to always go back, run your own tests just to be sure, because even like the moisture content of your material can affect it sometimes, especially if it's wood. The drier wood is, the more it's liable to scorch, the easier it'll be for it to catch fire. The moisture it is, it could warp when it heats up from engraving. I mean, there's a lot of things that you kind of need to test your material for, and it's just better.
Yeah.
Transparent acrylic. Pretty much you can etch it or engrave it using spray or some type of interactive layer, but that's pretty much it. You're not going to be cutting it unless you're just going to make a melted mess. But engraving, etching on it, kind of making marks on it, you can do that with several different techniques. I think Steve did one recently where he used airbrush on glass. It's the same process for clear acrylic. You can use the same materials and all on that, but you're going to have limited depth.
Now, one of the things I'm going to want to try here in the near future is I bought a black window marker. And so it's kind of like a mega acrylic paint pen.
Yeah.
It has like a 1-inch wide pad, and you got to like really work the paint into it, but then you can apply that in there and it washes off with water. So I'm curious to see how even you can get that, and if it might bridge that balance between brushing on tempera paint and airbrushing, but just use that marker pen kind of thing. So we'll see. I'm gonna run some tests and we'll see how it turns out.
Multi-craft, if I'm ordering them, they're through Amazon, because I just order most of my stuff through Amazon. I mean, I know you can get them cheaper if you're doing a whole bunch of them through a lot of the different companies, but I find that the ones that I like best are the Hassel Outfitters from Amazon. They're consistent. They don't have logos on them, so when you engrave them, you don't have to work around a logo that's on one side or the other. And they come in all sizes and a whole bunch of different colors. So that's the ones that I typically go with, unless the customer has something that they want. And if they insist on using their brand tumbler, then they have to provide me a blank in each color to sacrifice. Now, if I get lucky and I, get the right settings, then it works out. But if not, then it's on them. But now the last couple of times I've had to do something like that, I got lucky and I only had to use, I think they brought me a whole bunch of different colors, first of all, which is a no-no. Because with a diode machine, with a CO2, it's not that big a deal. But with a diode machine, color will mess you up. You go from doing a white tumbler and or you go from doing a black tumbler and use those settings on a white tumbler, you're going to be upset because it's not going to be, it is not going to be as clean as what you wanted it to be. It's going to be more of a subdued white. It's different. Now with the CO2, you have a lot more leeway on that. And that's one reason why I'm wanting to try to convert over to using the CO2 to do tumblers. The P2, I tried doing tumblers with my P2. For some reason, I don't like the P2 as much as I do the S1. They're both X-Tool machines, but I prefer the S1 for tumblers. So maybe I get lucky and X-Tool come out with like a CO2 wavelength module for the S1. That would be awesome.
Yeah, I was trying to look at my. I'll be honest. I don't do a lot of tumblers, and the most success I've had with them is been with my CO2 lasers, and partially that's because I've done some for various people at the college I work for, and our primary color is like this navy blue, which is horrible for diodes. So that's where the CO2, but the tumblers that worked really well are no longer available. So I don't even really have a good recommendation on that right now for you.
Well, me and Klein used the Hassel Outfitters, and the last big order that we had come in, it was 250 tumblers, and he ordered Hassel Outfitters, and I think he had one goof but luckily he had to buy them by the case, and so he had extras, but he had one that either he forgot to chuck it in properly or something, and something shifted, or I think he had one mistake out of 250, which is really good in my opinion.
Yeah.
But Cornbread's asking, saying, Steve, you used your airbrush hack and it's working great. Thank you for that video.
Yeah. It doesn't take a fancy airbrush for that. And I just find you got to play around thinning it down. But once you get it, an airbrush spraying on the glass, and then hair dryer or heat gun flash dries it really quick. So, yeah.
BT Maker's asking, is there a third-party controller that works for the Genmitsu 6050?
Well, depends on how much you want to dig, because they are just 4-wire steppers, and you could swap out a whole. You could put an open builds controller on there if you wanted. You can get their offline controller, but they also have Nemo Labs has a really cool offline controller that works with most GRBL CNCs. Now it's $150, but it's got some pretty cool features on there that allow you to adjust feed rates and such kind of on the fly. Dave Gatton's done some nice videos with that one if you want to check it out. Like I say, if you want to get a separate controller, you can. You just have to change kind of the wiring. You might have to change the plugs, and then you're going to have to do a little bit of digging to get to recalibrate your steppers to the new controller. So,
yes, it's going to be a lot involved. So, Todd's asking, what do you think about the Monport 40-watt 2.0 laser engraver versus the Ohmtech K40? I haven't really looked at those real heavily, so I don't want to step out on a limb. I know you've got the Reno?
Mm-hmm.
Is that one's comparable? You said that one was more like a remodified K40, right?
Well, it's it's all the things that you want a K40 to be, and what you end up spending to make a K40. But it's also a slightly larger working area. So, unfortunately, it's so the Monport 40-watt 2.0. That's similar to the M40s that we had, and it's what, $500, $600. Right now it's $499. Okay, so it's $500. If you look at that is Liper, no, is it? Yeah, it is Liper compatible. So for $500, you have a Liper compatible CO2. It's not bad if all you want to do is engrave. But my issue with that one is they don't have a good adjustable bed. And so if you're trying to cut thicker materials, that's where you start having to hack it right away. Now they have the Reno series, and I've done a couple of videos on that one. You get a little more power. That starts at a 45, or no, 45, and then they have a 65. Now their $1,000 one, it doesn't support light burn, but the $1,500 one. So you are adding quite a bit to that. But if you really look at what you're going to do with the K40 style, unless it is just engraving or maybe cutting 3mm stock, you're going to find yourself spending time and money to upgrade that one anyway. So I would take a real close look at it if it's going to really suit your needs.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you're going to outgrow it really fast.
Yeah. If the K40, because I hate these pop-ups. If anybody
Yeah.
if anybody designs web pages for Monport and some of these other companies, tell them to get rid of the pop-ups. But the machine that you had the other day, that Reno, I think because me and you had the same Monport K40 and bare bones, it lacked a lot of stuff. Okay, here it is. I finally managed to get to it. But it lacked a lot of things. And like I said, if you're just going to be cutting 3mm acrylic in 8x12 sheets, and that's all you're going to do, maybe some 8x12 sheets of 3mm wood, it'll probably work fine for you. But anything past that, you're going to have problems. That's what I ran into, is because there's no way to focus anything in the machine other than the 3mm stuff. Like it's fixed. The bed is fixed. Of course, the gantry is fixed. So you cannot. I wound up having to tear all of the floor out of it and put basically like a lab jack in it so I could raise it up and down. And I got it to where it would work, but I had to put a lot of effort into it, and I had to basically void any warranty I might have had on the machine. So me personally, I agree. I would go ahead and go with that Reno that you had. Yes, it's more expensive, but you're going to be so much better. Like I'm sitting here right now, they've got it. It's showing $9.99 for that Reno, 16x12.
Well, but that's the non-Lightburn one. So
okay, that's why it's so much cheaper.
Yeah, the Pro is where you get the built-in Lightburn control. And,
me personally, I mean, and it sucks, but you're not gonna enjoy the Monport K40.
Yeah, so like there are a few aftermarket kits for that, but you start looking at between a honeycomb and a lifting bed, you're another couple $100 into it. And then you're still stuck with that working area. I think on this one I think maybe they've added air assist to this one, so you don't have to add that anymore. But yeah, just realize it's not a bad laser. It will function, but there's only so much you can grow with it. And the working area is small, and that default cutting area just limits a little bit.
Yeah, see, I had even thought about taking the one that I have and converting it like you did and making it into just a tumbler machine, because I'm like, it's a CO2, it's a 40 watt, it would do tumblers. But you've got to have the chiller outside. That's another thing with this machine, is you've got to have that external chiller or bucket or whatever. Also, did you have to have that with the Reno, or is it built in?
No, the Reno, it's external, and so you can either do the bucket and the pump. They provide you a pump. You got to add like a 5-gallon pail of water, or at minimum you want to get the $150 chiller with it, and that's more of a radiator. If you're running it in a kind of a climate controlled space, it's going to be okay. So yeah, the Reno itself it's got most of everything you'd want in one, but yeah, when you jump into CO2s, I definitely do your research of what you're going to be doing with it. They're a great tool, but you kind of get locked in with what you buy to an extent. You get into some of these larger cabinet lasers, you have a little more flexibility for some upgrades, but
yeah.
Bobby says they watched the video of me etching the glass on lanterns. What was the purpose of the paint before you etched them? Would that be needed with the P2? So that's going back to, I was using the S1, and that was a diode-based laser. And diodes don't see transparent material. The beam will go right through them. So you need to have kind of like a binder of sorts that's going to cause the beam to interact with it. And so the tempera paint that I was spraying on there was doing that. It actually interacts with the black paint, and then kind of the heat there then kind of does the microfracturing and the frosting of the glass. With a P2, no. The CO2 will mark that without a binder. You'd be able to just drop your glass in, frame it up, and you still need to do your settings, figure out where. If you go too high, you're going to start getting more of a sharper fracturing and splintering. You just kind of want to get it frosted, but you don't need a binder. That's the nice thing about the CO2 ones. Darren's saying, install the Brave browser, no pop-ups or ads. yeah, it takes care of most of them, but some of these companies, the way they design their sites with the the messaging things and whatnot. I'm with Dave on that, and I've talked with companies. I said, you need to turn those off on your website. It annoys more people than it gets them connected with you. If I'm just trying to research something and I have to keep closing these things. But yeah, the Brave browser does help out with that. But it seems every time they get it worked out, the web developers find another way to be annoying.
Yeah. Jeff saying I'm getting a lot flashback when cutting with my diode. I've raised the honeycomb up, but it's still happening. I need a recommendation for extended honeycomb with larger holes.
Cat doesn't want you to retire.
Over here. Quit knocking stuff over and running. What are you getting flashback on? Be my question. Is it wood? Because if you're seeing a lot of stuff from wood, there's a really good chance your honeycomb just needs a good thorough cleaning.
Yeah. And sometimes, some material is real sensitive to it. Acrylic is one of those where even just the reflection of the beam on a clean honeycomb can give you some issues. But in that case, I tend to rip down some chunks of plywood. And so I'll have even spacers that I can, try to prop it up. And I just try to make sure that these are outside of the area that needs to be cut. But otherwise, yeah, if you're getting a lot of flashback, I would definitely see if you can see if there's some residue on there that's causing that.
Yeah, typically if I start seeing those little black marks on the back of my material, it means I need to clean my honeycomb. Sometimes you're going to get a little bit. And it could also mean that you're going a little slower than you need to if you haven't done good, thorough speed and power tests. Because if you go too slow, you will increase the marks on the back of your material from the honeycomb. So there's a chance of that too.
Cool.
But leave a gap under your honeycomb and try to get the exhaust to come out under the bottom if you can, which is hard to do in a lot of the, commercial enclosures. Well, the dog is outside the door. He's learned to stick his big old head through the cat door. So I tried getting a picture of it earlier, but when he saw me pull my phone out, he pulled his head out of there.
Okay, so it sounds like the holes are really small. Can't get the actual material holes. Okay, yes, I've noticed some have a tighter weave than others. Where are mine? Mine are kind of buried. The Nivel one that you and I looked at a couple years ago, that one I think has a little bit larger, typical kind of weave that's closer to like the X-Tool panel. So that might be one to look at. And I can see if I can grab a link really quick.
Oh, now if it's, like I said, I don't know what honeycomb it is, but.
I gotta go to my store. That'll help. You search for honeycomb, you get a lot of beekeeping supplies.
Yeah. Yep. Sleepy Hollow. There's several ways you can do it. Steve has a couple of videos, and I have a couple as well. Anything from like simple green to LA's awesome oven cleaners, pressure washers, dishwashers. You name it. A lot of times you're going to need something with some degrease. Some type of degreaser is going to have to be involved. And then either like extremely hot water if you want to. If your honeycomb's small enough, you can literally put it in your dishwasher. It may take a few turns, but it's, heat, pressure, scrubbing, chemicals, or something. You're gonna have to get something to get to remove all of the gunk off of it.
Yeah, come on.
Jeff said it's a Geek Bee. I had never heard of them.
That's one, but I think. Boy, I wonder is Nibble no longer?
I don't think Nibble's on there no more.
Yeah, okay.
The last ones that me and you got that I like is gonna be the Daddy Wheels. Like as far as the economy is the cheaper honeycombs is the Daddy Wheels or Daddy Wheels or whatever the name of it is.
Yeah, I was just thinking with the larger weave. I know the Nibble one has a larger, I think the larger weave than the Geek Bee, but I've had decent luck with the Geek Bee on my A40. But there again, making sure there's good airflow with it is makes a big difference. But the Daddy Wheels and then the Dofiki, they make some nice ones for a variety of like they make one for the We Create, the P2, I think the S1. I don't know that they have just a straight up extended one, but they make some nice.
I'm gonna tell you that
support ones too,
and I've been using it for a while. The ComGrow, the 24 by 24 or 23.6 by 23.6 by 1 inch. That thing is a good one. That's what I've got in my big enclosure here. Is this big enough you can literally set your laser on top of it unless you've got like a really huge laser?
Yeah, the A70 doesn't quite fit on it, but it works for it. It's bigger than the cutting area. That's when I put in my new enclosure that I got to.
Yeah, but like if you've got, let's say, the ASMR P2, the Alpha, the X-Tool D1, a lot of the 2 trees, a lot of those 400 by 400 machines, you can literally set the machine itself on this honeycomb. Like I said, the A70, it overlaps a little bit, but it does cover the work area. So that's the one I've been using it for, well, ever since I built this enclosure, because I built this enclosure to work with that ComGrow honeycomb.
Here you go. You want to clean your honeycomb, you got to get a fiber laser.
Well, I mean, hey, you know what? You could do it. Now, you'd have to do it like a small area at a time, and it would probably erode over time, but you could do it. I mean, that would be one way, but you'd have to clean it like a little square at a time.
Yeah. But yeah, no, I use that LA Awesome cleaner. And you just got to be, the trick to that is to spray it down, let it sit for just a little bit. And then if it's nice and out and you can run your power washer, that's great. If you have one of those, they seem to be, at least around here, they seem to be harder to find, but you have those kind of self-wash bays that have the
car wash.
Yeah. Those seem to be a dying breed around here. I think there's maybe one left in town. Those are great. You just take it there. But yeah, it's the trick on any of that afterwards is make sure you get it dry. If it's nice, warm, sunny day, leave it out in the sun for a bit, let it dry off. If it's
you have a leaf blower,
winter,
blower will help.
Yeah, I was gonna say if it's otherwise, if you got like I'll run a hair dryer over it in the winter just to kind of make sure it proactively, because if that water sits in there, it starts rusting out because those are just untreated steel.
Yeah. Ryan said that get some totally awesome spray at the Dollar General. I was going to tell you, I was in Dollar General the other day and I noticed they had it. Like it was on the top rack. Like you had to reach up there and get it, but they actually had it. I was like, wow. I started to grab some, but I was like, I've got plenty of Simple Green still. So I didn't get any of it.
Yeah. I usually get after I get a spray bottle or two, both with Simple Green and LA Awesome, you get the refill bottles.
Yeah.
And they come concentrated. So you generally want to mix those down. Although if you really want to clean it, I guess you can use the straight stuff, but there you go. Nope.
So I've got it mixed. I think I did a 1-to-1 on this one because I was like experimenting with the different strengths because it says do 1-to-1 on heavy duty. And so that's what I went with for honeycombs. And this is
Sure.
I cleaned 2 honeycombs the other day, and that's how much of it I use. But I'll spray it down, let it set, and then spray it down, let it set, and then I'll hit it with the pressure washer to try to add a little a little extra oomph to it. But yeah, but that's this and the LA Awesome. I need to get me some of that too, and I'd have a bottle of each.
I use Simple Green on all my table saw blades. Gets that pitch off there, because a lot of times it feels like the table saw blade is dull, but it's just got too much buildup on it, and you let it soak in that. I've got a stiff nylon brush, kind of like a heavy duty toothbrush. I'll just clean them up. It makes your blades feel like they're new. So
yeah, and this is my all-purpose general cleaning.
I see. Yeah.
Yeah, I go to Dollar General and because I use it for glass, acrylics, like everything. So you just go to Dollar General and like now they look at you funny. When you start buying, you go in there buying like 5 bottles of rubbing alcohol. The last lady kind of looked at me and I was like, I promise you, I'm not drinking it. Okay. I promise you. But yeah, I use it for tumblers. I just use it for cleaning pretty much everything I laser engrave because it evaporates relatively quick.
Yep. Yeah, John, that's it. I know a lot of people, they'll just go out and buy a new one and all it needs is a good cleaning. Makes a world of difference. I was ripping down some hardwood for a friend and it was just getting too much burning. I was like, all right, I usually keep a couple on hand so I can swap it out, but then I'll put it in I've got it's a smaller, like an oil pan collector. Big enough that the saw blade can lay in it. I dump enough in there so it submerges. Just let it soak for a bit, get it cleaned up. A world of difference on that. So,
yep.
Yeah, and Mark, pine sol, yeah, because it's a lot of it's the sap on the wood and the resins in there that pine sol breaks it down. Plus, makes your shop smell nice.
Pine sol works good in the sawmill too when you're cutting pine. As blade lubrication, you also have to add a little bit of dishwashing liquid to your water when you're lubricating to break the surface tension of the water so that it can distribute along the blade properly.
Yeah. Not sure why Aetzer went out of business. Whether they were an offshoot of another company or just failed business, I don't know. But depends on the parts you're looking for. Like a control board and such might be kind of tough, but belts are actually usually a common size part. They'll be written on there, kind of what the tooth count and the pitch is, and you can usually go and reference that and find a new one online. Same thing with like those Delrin or plastic wheels, rubber wheels. Those are typically, I forget which one. Of course, I've torn that one apart. Forget what's on the Aetzer, but there also the stepper motors are typically similar. I've actually taken a few lasers apart, and you've seen like Atom Stack branding on the various parts. So take a look at them. Try to find part numbers off of it. But if it's like part of the frame or the controller, that's going to be tough. You might have to see if you can Frankenstein it with some other controller. But yeah, it's unfortunate when places go out of business like that, and there's no support structure left.
Glenn says, I love my L2 and I got a big enclosure copied from the Clack Shack. Yeah, the Aetzer made some pretty decent machines, but they fell off the map. I don't know. I'm like Steve. I think they may have been a sister company and they just got cold because the P2 and the V35 especially, I love those machines. Now, the other series, I had some issues with it, but it could have just been mine was a lemon. But yeah, the V35, Klein's still running my V35. He's got it up at his place. And my nephew has my P20 and still using it. So they made good machines.
Yep.
Jim says, I don't know what that means. I don't know what FSA means.
Oh, I should know that.
Huh? I have no idea. I don't know what FSA means. What's up, Elaine?
Oh,
How
that's
are
right.
you?
It's a flexible spending account. So like your health, like you can, some businesses will let you take pre-tax dollars out and then.
Oh, like a medical savings?
Yeah.
No, that
It's
comes
like,
that.
it's on the tip of my tongue. But
Yeah, no, that rubbing alcohol gets straight coded as supplies and shop supplies. I can tell you exactly how that goes into QuickBooks because it's going to be it's going to be shop supplies and cleaning.
Yeah, there's a lot of things that fall under supplies.
Yeah, and usually when I get it is when I'm at Dollar General grabbing some of the cheap glass or the cheap mirrors or something to engrave. Like the other day, I started to go ahead and grab some of the bamboo spoons and stuff because I was like, those I think I could do with this and do a really, really good job on them. I've never wanted to do those with like a diode or a CO2, but I think with this thing, I might could actually, because it'll engrave it without it's just weird how it does it. But I was like, I started to grab some of those just to play with, and I was like, bamboo's unique. We have Dollar General. You can leave my house and drive west or east or south or north, and within 15 minutes you'll pass a Dollar General. Like, yeah, it don't matter which way you go.
Yeah, I saw it was a meme somewhere. It was like a small town starter kit, and one of the items went on there was a Dollar General.
Yeah, now
it was like a Dollar General and something else.
I will say though, for us folks that live back in the woods, though, it is pretty handy because if you only need, like, let's say you run out of like one thing, like you just need a little bit of dog food to get you by until you go to town. It is handy to be able to drive 5 minutes and go in there without having to fight a crowd and grab some dog food and come back. Now, depending on what time of the day it is, you may have to make sure you lock your car, because sometimes there's some unsavory, not real trustworthy looking characters hanging out in the parking lot. But all in all, I mean, it's been a blessing for small communities because it's the one that we have is right near a trailer park where there's a lot of people that don't necessarily have dependable transportation, and they can literally like walk to the Dollar General. So I think that's kind of where they fit in. I mean, because you can get the basic essentials that you need at Dollar General. So.
Yeah. Up here they tend to be more in the rural areas is the Dollar General, and then like in the, I guess we have the upscale Dollar Tree here in the more college towns and
we have a Dollar Tree
in
town, but it's like right near the Walmart. So.
Yeah, well, I sent you the picture of the one. We've got two in town. One of them is right next to Michael's. So,
yeah. Well, we don't have a Michael's or a Hobby Lobby or anything like that where I live. I got to drive down to Prattville to go to it, and it's probably, if you're not in a hurry, about a 45-minute ride. But it's not bad.
Yeah. No, I always I always forget about going to Dollar Tree though, and but I went in there the other day and was able to pick up a bunch of different glass items. And then if you're needing glass for doing material tests, go into their picture frame section.
Yeah.
It's real cheap, real thin glass, but they're flat panes, and it's $1.25 for a 5x7 photo frame. You can pick up, 4 of them for $5, and you got plenty of testing material.
Yeah. John's like me. I went to pick up some cat food and chicken food and stuff like that, getting ready to go out of town so that, the wife doesn't have to worry about trying to feed any of the animals. And no matter where I go, I'm like, where's the clearance aisle? And even at Tractor Supply, like I went and walked the clearance aisle because sometimes they'll have like the home decor, like the country home decor stuff. And occasionally you'll find something that's like, like a little watering pail or something that's just solid white or whatever. And occasionally you'll find those things for like $3 or $4. and they don't have anything on them. And it's like, okay, I can customize that and sell it for $5, or just, give it to Brandy to decorate the house with or whatever. But everywhere I go, I'm like, okay, where's the bargain bins at? Because that's where I need to be, so I can find some laser. That's why I've got a box of knives over there still. I need to do something with it. I went to Walmart, and the lady at the counter, she saw me coming. She knew I was a sucker because I go through Walmart, and I'm back there at the where the guns and the knives and everything are. And she walks up and she's like, "Hey, can I help you? You looking for something particular?" And I'm like, "No, I'm just looking at the cheaper knives, just seeing what y'all got, because I do laser engraving and stuff." She's like, "Oh yeah," and she recognized me. She's like, "Well, we got this whole box of these knives right here, and they're on clearance." So I got these guys for $3.50 a piece for these Ozark Trail little knives, and then I got the CRKTs, which are actually not bad knives. I don't remember. I think I paid a little more for these, maybe like $4 or $5 a piece for these. But I got a bunch of these too, and I've engraved a couple of them. Let's see. No, that's not one. So I played around with this one. I did like a honeycomb pattern on the blade. I was trying to engrave the handle with the fibers, and of course. It melts, but I did manage to do that little badge right there. I did that with a UV. So my next one of these that I do, I'll be doing it with a UV because I did not melt it with the badge on the handle. So, but yeah, I've been playing around with these. I just use this to open boxes now because I've destroyed it with these. I got one design on that side and one design on that side. And then I got this little guy. This is one of these CRKTs. I did the same kind of like engrave honeycomb type thing on it. Now it's actually sharp. I got to be careful with it or I'll cut myself. So, but yeah, little cheap, one-off engraves. I got way more box opener knives over here than I'll ever need. I got that little guy. I've had that for a while. But yeah, cool. So if you ever need to open a box, I got the stuff to do it with. But I need to do something with these. I need to do a video. That'll probably be my next video with the Omni. Will probably be a knife.
Cool.
Because that black plastic holster would also be fair game.
Yeah, definitely worth checking out the clearance aisles. Even at Michael's, this time of year, I've been able to snag some deals on some general supplies. Sometimes they have like weird slate sizes and they want to clear them out, and so they put them in the clearance section, and you get it pretty cheap. But just gotta make sure you're not getting into that hoarder sense. You're actually using the stuff.
Well, mostly I do. But if I ever have like somebody say, "Oh man, I need like a quick present for my dad or my uncle or whatever," I'm like, "Does he use knives?" And they're like, "Yeah, okay, here you go." Yeah. Done.
Yep.
But yeah, I one time I had way more slate tiles, the little coasters, than I thought I would ever use. But every time I get a Galvo, especially, I want to try slate. And so I've slowly went through those like over time. And so I'm down to, I think, like 2 or 3 packs of them now.
Well, I'm gonna have to order up another bundle.
Michelle, yeah, you can the knives themselves, the metal, yes, you can mark them with the IR and probably the plastics too, but with the IR, it's going to be the same wavelength as the fiber is, the 1064 nanometers. And so that plastic's probably going to melt just like it did with the fiber. But yeah, you could engrave them with IR module if you have one.
Well, Tim, it's hard not to, because you always need, a different color, and you never use that full spool. Yeah. But there again, always you see a deal on film, and it's hard to pass it up because printing off just random stuff for fun.
Yeah.
That's what's cheap filament's good for.
This guy, I don't know if this is the same comment. I saw one earlier I meant to throw up. Says, I just received my rolly chuck. The first tumbler I tried seemed like the motor quit and swung down. There is a fixing handle on it. Am I doing something wrong, or is it just sound faulty? I've never had any problems with that unless the handle is like really, really heavy. I don't see why it would. I mean, I would be more apt to think maybe it wasn't chucked in and it slipped than the stepper slipped. But I mean, you never know.
I kind of avoided the handled things in general.
I take them off. I've done some that had handles, but I take the handles off because that's, you can't always take them off, but the ones that I've been doing, you could. All right. So we are an hour and 41 minutes into it. We've been answering a lot of questions. We hadn't really got to shoot the breeze tonight, Steve. They're like, y'all going to have plenty of time to talk when you get to Vegas. So we're going to answer questions tonight. But yeah. But now I haven't had that problem with the chucks. If anything, most of the time the chucks don't want to turn when the machine's powered up. So don't know.
Yep.
I don't have everything. Y'all know Steve gets all the cool toys. Where's it at? Where's my hashtag? Steve gets all the cool toys. Oh, it's not up there. Dang it. Steve deleted my hashtag. Steve gets all the cool toys from my little banners.
Is there a
Do what? I got those.
No, they need we need a pole tool here.
Pole?
Yeah.
We can do those on YouTube.
Right, but I mean, you need to be able to pull it from all of them.
Well, we can generate it somewhere and share it. How about that? What kind of poll we need to do? What are we polling? It's probably something crazy.
You just poll everybody, see what who they think gets all the cool toys.
See who has the most cool toys. I don't know, Steve. You might win. I mean, you do have,
I have what? What do I have?
2 laser pecker 5s. That's all I got.
I have a replacement because mine has an issue with it.
It's still 2. But you have the X tool. What you call it? The one with the printer head and everything.
You refused to take that one.
Oh, yeah, I did, didn't I? I don't know. I'm sure there's something. You've got a 150. I don't have a 150.
You chose to buy a different one.
Okay, I give up. I give up. I'm not playing this. Maybe we can just poll it, see what everybody else thinks. But
yeah.
I think you have just as many cool toys as I have. Oh, that's what I think. But yeah. Now, so if any of you guys are in Vegas, well, throw this out there once again. If you're in Vegas, if there is the slightest thing that you might want to like go grab a burger, hang out in a lobby and just like shoot the breeze. Maybe I don't know what all we're going to be doing while we're over there. But if you're in Vegas and you think that's something that you might want to do, let us know. Message me, message Steve, email me. Cat, can we not climb through the lasers? But we will definitely be open to the idea if we get the opportunity. Hopefully at night while we're not in the event, we'll be able to, go get something to eat somewhere or whatever. So send us a message. Let us know because you never know. I may not ever be back in Las Vegas again. So this might be the only time I'm ever there. So we'll see. Brandy says she needs more cool toys. Well, Steve gets all the cool toys. So I don't have those. But yeah. Elaine says she watched more of my evolution, and I've gotten some pretty cool toys. I'm not gonna lie. Like I said, I am blessed. But it's a toss up on some stuff. I do have, and I know he's going to throw it up. I do have one machine right now that Steve does. Actually, I guess I'm at two now that Steve has not got yet. But
that's all you can count.
It's a coincidence.
Why don't you take your shoes off? You can count higher.
You got the B6. I didn't get the B6. They sent me this little 5-watt.
Your complaint. Okay, you will trade. I'll take your UV.
Yeah. Well, Kyle Marker, if you're watching, guys, could we send Steve out the 5-watt UV, because it's really cool, and I think he does need one. I mean, he seriously needs one. So, there you go. So if Kyle Marker sends you an email now, you owe me.
Okay. Yeah, but if we're gonna do dinner in Vegas, it's really gonna need to be. Well, I guess we have 3 nights most likely, but
yeah,
we're gonna need some ideas, and hopefully, it's a place that's easy to get to.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not hard to please. We can literally get to Arby's. Do they have an Arby's in Las Vegas? Go all that distance and eat at a restaurant that I have like a mile down the road. But yeah, hopefully it's going to be fun. And like I said, if I think Cody even mentioned he mentioned he might try to come over, but I think that was before you told him you were coming over there to him. So I don't know. Maybe we'll get lucky.
We've been talking about that for a while. I think he was looking into it, but he had needed that it might be a little bit further than he was thinking it would be.
Yeah,
or drive, and that to drive up and back in a day. That's
we don't have a White Castle around here that I know of, so that might be something. We'll see. Well, I have to we'll figure something out. But yeah, Bobby said he would love to go to Arby's. There's only like 1 or 2 left in Maine. But we got one here at the Love Truck Stop. It's actually right next to the truck stops. It's a good place to get your roast beef.
Yeah, we have one downtown here, but I haven't been to it in a long time.
Yeah, Robbie says if you bring the van, we can just all ride together.
The thought crossed my mind, but then it's like winter, and this week, that massive storm going through, I would be driving way out of my way to get out there to avoid it, and then I'd still be driving through mountains in the winter. I still have to figure out how I'm getting down to Workbench Con, because, flying is quick, but there's a lot to be said for being able to drive.
Yeah. Like I said, if you can make it to here, I could probably get you the rest of the way. But that you got to figure out either if you're going to get here by plane or by van or by rail. That'd be cool. It'd take you a week.
It would be interesting to do a train ride sometime, but here in the U.S., Amtrak, I mean, I've looked at it and it's chaos. I mean, and then there are times where they're like, sorry, we got to put you on a bus for a while. That's the last thing I want to do.
Yeah.
So maybe if I go to Europe, I'll do a train. I'll do a rail trip, but
yep.
I don't know. I don't think we do rail well here, at least in this. Maybe out on the East Coast it's better, but here you get outside the East Coast, I don't think it's very feasible.
67.5 defensive. I'm not sure what that means. Where's it at?
Well, it's 6-10 now.
6-10. Oh, yeah. You talking about the ball game? That's why I didn't understand it. Who's losing?
But yeah, I've looked at Amtrak just seeing it'd be kind of fun, but they don't make it easy to plan the trip either, because I know there's a place about an hour from here where there's a station, but I can't plug that in and say, take me to Flagstaff, Arizona. It's like, well, we don't have any direct routes. Well, you have connecting routes, but they won't help you with that. So, yeah. Anyway, but yeah, we'll we'll need to coordinate that. I don't know. Maybe we can drop a post in the Facebook group. Otherwise, if people hit us up directly, we can try to poll people to see where maybe we can do a meetup here and get some dinner, talk shop, or whatever.
Yeah, we can. I guess we could put something in the Facebook group or on our Facebook pages once we get there. But
Yep.
I've got to get some sleep tonight, so I can't stay up late because my wife has done informed me in order for us to be, because I've got to be on the plane like at 7:55 is when my boarding is in the morning. It's an hour to get there. All right. I don't know how long it's going to take me to get through, like from the counter, like to where I can actually go get on the plane. I don't know how long that's going to take. I do know that I can't, like, because the app's like, hey, you want to go ahead and check your bags and all this kind of stuff. I can't do all of that. So I've got to wait till I get there to be able to, like, check my luggage and all. So we're planning on leaving here at like 6:15 in the morning so that I can be on this plane sitting down at like 7:55 or whatever. And then hopefully it's going to take off at 8:30. So I'm going to be needing a nap when we get there.
Well, here's my recommendation in Vegas, just solely off of I heard about it today. The Blue Ox Tavern. It's a Minnesota themed restaurant, open 24/7.
Do they have that soap that you guys eat that tastes like fish?
Lutefisk?
Oh my goodness.
Menu.
He's going to try to make me eat some of that soap fish. But Aldrich Customs is asking if we're going to do a live or post a video. The one thing I can promise you is we're going to be capturing video while we're there. B-roll clips, maybe some little one-on-one stuff with X-Tool, that kind of thing. The plan is to try to do at least a live from the event center if possible. But Steve and I both are kind of like optimistic about that actually working out. So it may wind up being a bunch of pre-recorded sitting down, talking about it, doing some, that kind of thing back at the motel room or something. That may be all we can do. We don't know yet.
Yeah.
It's going to be depending on the resources when we get there.
We got to see what we have for internet at the venue. I have been talking with my X-Tool rep. They talked about, they apparently like our lives. We're doing something nice here. Then so they asked if maybe we might be able to do one from their booth. So if we can, yes, and we'll try to. I've asked them to try to say, hey, is there a specific time or what are you thinking on this? And we're kind of getting down to the wire. So as soon as we can figure that out, we'll try to post notifications. We'll try to get the pre-notification out through YouTube up. But there's going to be a bunch of people there, a lot of people with technology. And unless they've paid for some special internet access, I'm going to be surprised if we have quality to do that. But definitely follow us, on Facebook, maybe on Instagram, and obviously YouTube as well. We'll be trying to get some, if nothing else, some short videos out, maybe some reels and some sneak peeks. But yeah, we'll definitely be doing some long form as quickly as we can. Maybe not at the event, but right after. It kind of just depends on timing and resources.
Yeah, I figure if worst case scenario, if we can't get a signal out of there to be able to, because having internet and being able to upload a video or do a live is two different things. You can have internet to do searches and check your email and not have enough internet to upload a video or especially do a live. So there's a chance that it may turn into that like after action. Where when we get back to the motel, maybe we download all of our B-roll and kind of throw it together like in a live environment like this, and we just throw you some pictures and talk about it and that kind of thing. So we don't know yet. We like I said, we got to see what the internet looks like. I have Verizon internet, and I don't know how well it works in Las Vegas. I have my iPad with me, so technically I could. If I had to, I could swap. It has an eSIM and everything, so I could technically throw some prepaid internet from somewhere over there on it temporarily if I needed to. But hopefully, we'll have some Wi-Fi or just some good Verizon internet when we get over there. So sorry about that. I'm getting sleepy. I'm getting tired already.
Yeah. Well, I've got Verizon and T-Mobile, so we've got some options, and then we'll see what's available there. But yeah, stay tuned to our socials, and we'll try to share some of the cool stuff as quickly as we can. There's a variety of companies there that we're familiar with, but also some new ones there was a cool little desktop CNC mill company that they've got like a Kickstarter going right now, so kind of fun to kind of check things out there. So Jim, I don't know that they're showing anything new. Whether they announce something new, we'll see. They haven't really led on to that, but I from what my rep told me, they won't have like new product there to show off. But I would imagine, I would imagine they're going to, I would be surprised if they're not announcing at least something new.
I was going to say, it wouldn't surprise me for there to be like a video played in the background or something of some kind of new projected machine, but you never know. They may not, they may have let this thing sneak up on them and just don't have it going yet. So, okay. Good night. Have a safe trip. You should have Verizon G5, 5G. Well, I hope so. If I got 5G internet on my iPad or on my phone, we're good. So,
well, we might have 5G, but how many people are sharing that 5G?
As long as I can get good throughput. I mean, You never know, because that many people at an event like that, it may start, which you would think being Las Vegas, being set up for those big events, you would think the infrastructure could handle it. But I know at a lot of like ball games and stuff, you show up at the ball game and it's like, 5G full coverage, but then you're running on 56K because it's just so strained and stressed from all the people. So, you never know, but maybe we'll get lucky.
Yep.
Because I think Brandy was looking at it earlier, and it was like 150,000 people will be at this event. That's a lot of cell phones, especially considering the group that is going to be. Everybody's going to have an iPad and a cell phone. I mean, that's just the way it's going to work. So, we do know a few other folks that are going to be there. I haven't really talked about who they are because I don't know if they want it known necessarily that they're going to be going. But yeah, once we get there, and as long as they're not like trying to like conceal their, identities or anything, we'll let you know. But there are going to be some other folks there that are kind of going with us, or not with us, but they're going to meet us there. They're going to be there with us, basically with X Tool, just like we are. And it's going to be some folks that you're probably familiar with. But like I said, I haven't seen them put anything out, and so I don't want to like throw it out there because some people are weird about, oh, you told them I was going to be out of town or whatever. So, but we'll let you know when we get there.
Yep.
But that's about it. What is it? Hour, 58 minutes, and 25 seconds. So we're right there at the end, guys.
We are. Yep. But looking forward to this trip. But I'm also going to be glad to get back and jump back into some projects. But no matter what, we will have a live stream next Sunday. Clack will be back in the shack. I will be in Arizona. So hopefully everything's good there.
Hopefully you've got good internet there. Let's hope that one works.
I should. But we'll be able to do some recapping there. And I'll, part of my visit is going to be checking out Cody in his shop as well. So I'm excited about that. There'll be a little bit of hopefully a little bit of content there. If nothing more like a shop tour or something. Or of course he threatened last night to put me to work. So I don't know, but definitely looking forward to that. Looking forward to safe travels and such. Weather, it's going to be cool, but it seems like now that the storm moves through, it's not really affecting either your or my travel. Maybe a few other people. So hopefully anybody that's in the path of that is doing all right. But the rest of the week wise, hopefully it goes well. So,
yep. But anyway, guys, like I said, links in the description. If you got here late, go check out Ryan and the crew that we went in their video last night. Me and Steve were in there helping with their Christmas challenge that they did. RBallard is the name of his channel. And like I said, check the link on my video, and there's links to their stuff. Go give them a thumbs up. Tell them that the Clack Shack sent you, and check out their stuff. Some good guys with some good projects and cool ideas. The winner of their event that they had, the guy that did the inlay, I don't want to spoil it for you guys, but it was very complex and it was cool. So if you go watch that video, you'll see what we're talking about. But that's me and Steve were over there last night, Saturday night, helping Ryan and them with that, and it was a good show. So there's a link down below for that.
And I just put the link to that video in there so everybody can hit it up. Yeah, check that out. Whether you want to hop on there right now or check it out later. It's some cool projects on there. You also get a feel for that. But also check them out on Saturday nights, 8 p.m. Eastern time.
Yeah.
Is it 8 p.m.? No, it's 8 p.m. Central, 9 p.m. Eastern.
Are they Central? I don't remember.
No, they're East Coast. Late. It was 7:55 my time, and it's 8 p.m. Central, 9 p.m. Eastern. Do the math for the rest of them. Definitely check them out. Send them some love. They're good guys. They're having some fun. They're kind of like us. They do a little bit of everything with 3D printing, CNC routers, laser stuff, and in different venues. From sci-fi to trains to general making and Christmas light hanging and all that such. So.
Oh yeah.
Anyway.
All right, guys. I guess that's it. Unless somebody else has got something, speak now or hold peace. But I will be getting on an airplane. I'm gonna let you guys know this is only the second time that I know of, unless it was when I was a little bitty baby, that I've ever been on an airplane. So I'm gonna be strong. And I'm gonna try not to freak out if we encounter any turbulence or anything. But yeah, I will be trying to update you guys along the way best I can. Can you answer this for me, Steve? Is there like no internet in an airplane? I mean, is it? They trying to sell me.
No, they. So I think for $8 on Southwest, you can get their Wi-Fi. Now, what level of internet that is, I don't know, but they do offer some basic services through their stuff. You might be able to do basic texting, use their in-flight entertainment, but yeah, it depends on the plane and the service. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't.
I was going to say, being that you're going to be in an aluminum capsule, that could restrict some, telecommunications. And you're going to be several miles above the plane of the antennas on the surface.
You're supposed to put your phone into airplane mode, so it's not searching for those signals, but you can turn back on your Wi-Fi and try to connect to their service. So,
yeah. All right. We're going to see how it works out. Like I said, this will be my second attempt at flying. Last time it worked out. Maybe it will this time too. So Jim says Clack's going to be like Die. If you only knew. So we'll see you guys later. Stay frosty, and I'll be trying to let y'all have some updates along the way. And I'm going to be wearing the glasses, grabbing some video. It's going to be fun. We're going to have a wonderful airline report review for you guys.
All right. Well, we'll see y'all next week.
Later.